William Frederick Cody was born near LeClaire, Iowa on February 26, 1846. Like many frontier families, Cody's upbringing was modest. Everyone had to work to survive. Not much time for schooling. Because of his later fame, his hometown house was preserved. In 1933, the Chicago, Burlington and Quincy Railroad purchased a home for $150 and transported it across the prairie to Cody, Wyoming. On the north banks of the Shoshone River, it attracted tourists as a small museum. The house was given to the Buffalo Bill Museum in 1947, and with other items in the collection, adds insight into W. F. Cody's early years. The Buffalo Bill Center of the West Museum in Cody, Wyoming has spectacular exhibits depicting the life of Buffalo Bill. Sitting Bull's tomahawk is especially spiritual. And there are many other treasures of the West. Around age 12, Cody worked for a wagon train traveling to Fort Laramie, Wyoming. This was adventure to the west. He had many jobs as a kid. Frontier jobs included riding horses, hunting game and scouting, all of which Cody was adept. On March 6, 1866, Cody married Louisa Frederick in St. Louis, Missouri. He was 20 and she was 23. They had 4 children. In 1867, Cody took a job hunting buffalo for the Kansas Pacific Railroad. The meat was used to feed the railroad work crews. In the late 1860s and early 1870s, Cody was employed by the United States Army as a civilian scout and chief guide for the 5th Cavalry. The 5th Cavalry occupied stations in Wyoming and Nebraska at that time. The rifle Cody used and shown here was a breech-loading .50 caliber Springfield rifle named Lucretia Borgia. It was named after the Italian noblewoman, which had a reputation of being extremely deadly. William Cody got the name of Buffalo Bill while working for the Kansas Pacific Railroad. Cody wrote in his autobiography,
"During my engagement as hunter for the company, which covered a period of 18 months, I killed 4,280 buffaloes."
Over time, the railroad hands conferred Cody the name Buffalo Bill. Cody had to defend his acquired nickname against Billy Comstock, a well-known guide, scout, and interpreter. Cody wrote,
"It was arranged that I should shoot a match with him, and the preliminaries were easily and satisfactorily arranged. We were to hunt one day of 8 hours, beginning at 8 o'clock in the morning. The wager was $500 a side, and the man who should kill the greater number of buffaloes from horseback was to be declared the winner. Incidentally, my title of Buffalo Bill was at stake."
The hunt took place 20 miles east of Sheridan, Wyoming. Later, Cody wrote,
"It was now late in the afternoon. Comstock and his backers gave up the idea of beating me. The referee declared me the winner of the match and the champion buffalo hunter of the plains."
Thus William Cody retained the nickname Buffalo Bill. During this time, the pulp fiction writers of the East Coast romanticized the heroes and villains of the West. Buffalo Bill was part of that drama. Buffalo Bill realized he could monetize his fame and formed a Western show. Some of the more famous heroes were James Hickok or Wild Bill, Texas Jack Alejandro and Chief Sitting Bull of the Lakota Nation. Sitting Bull was with Buffalo Bill's Wild West show in 1885, but only for a few months. Although hugely popular, he wasn't happy in the limelight. Annie Oakley was the greatest female shot in the world, joining Bill's Wild West show in 1882. The nation was looking westward. Americans challenged England that year for the Pacific Northwest and established the U.S. northern boundary with Canada. Later in the year, President James K. Polk provoked war with Mexico. Victory in 1848 resulted in the annexation of California and the Southwest, and by 1853 all of what would become the lower 48 states was owned by the United States. Cody invested in ranching and town building. He became an advocate for the rights of Indian people, for women and for conservation. Thus, for his audiences, William F. Cody blended his life story with the best of both wilderness and civilization. In the early 1900s, things were changing. Motion pictures began to captivate public audiences. Sports like baseball and football were gaining in popularity. Rodeos had big draw for riding and roping. In short, Buffalo Bill's Wild West show lost popularity. The Wild West show was bankrupt by 1913. Cody died in Denver, Colorado on January 10, 1917. He was 70 years old. His funeral service was in Denver, and he was buried on Lookout Mountain, Golden, Colorado.